trying to understand different groups or different movements of society, and that was how I really got interested into subcultures, and that was something when I started making my first film, Edge, that was the subculture I wanted to explore more, so all the different facets, the history, and what motivates people. So I think it's a mix of sociology and psychology, but it definitely helped making films because I have a better knowledge of how society works to a certain degree, or at least I hope so. But yeah, that's how it started for me.
Well, how do you then, if some in your personal life, do you have any kind of tactics that you use to encourage people to go vegan? Because so much of your work, your books, your films are all to inspire. So it seems to be a through line.
Well, I've it's just my personal experience as a vegan that I think the best tactic for me is leading by example, just showing how easy it is and how tasty the foods are and what the negative sides are, but not in a negative way, just like in a positive way, helping people to see that, see behind the curtain, and helping them to transform their lives or their diets.
Mm-hmm. I definitely want to go into your film, and I'm going to kind of work backwards because it ties into what we're just talking about in terms of getting people excited about the movement is certain one aspect of that would certainly be the economics of it. And from what I learned from your film, you interviewed a few different people. One of them was Jan, who's the owner of Vegans in and around Berlin. I'm sure there are many of them now. When I was there last year, I went and spent 3 hours inside because it was just so extraordinary to not have to read any labels. The entire grocery store is vegan, and then upstairs there's a shop with vegan bags and vegan shoes. But he said that the plant-based space is growing 65% faster than the tech sector, which is pretty mind-blowing to everyone. It was to me. I knew that it was growing, and we know Beyond Meat had its IPO this year as well. What kind of opportunities do you think that we are facing economically in a future where we don't produce animals and use them for food?
I think there's tremendous growth opportunities. I mean, the idea of the end of meat started in Germany when classic meat-producing companies were making vegan and vegetarian products, which was, to me, who had been a vegan for over 20 years, was something really new and really crazy because those were the companies that we were campaigning against, and now they were making vegan products. So I think that was because they discovered that there's a market, and we see that with the growth, there were more companies adding to that, and now there's even, that's the IPO of Beyond Meat, and there's more investments in this plant-based meats and also into cultured meat technologies. So I think there's a lot of growth. I don't have an exact numbers, but it's a huge opportunity for a lot of companies and investment firms.
Do you have a gut feeling of a date in mind? I know that we always like to talk about by 2040, this is going to be the case in 2050. Like in all the work that you've done and all the people that you've interviewed in all your films, do you have kind of like that secret date in mind that you're feeling like could be the end of meat?
I don't, unfortunately.
Tomorrow.
I mean, I hope it's soon. I hope it's really soon because time's running out on a lot of subjects. But I mean, it made me making the film made me more hopeful because I got to know this whole field of biotechnology and all the companies working on these alternatives and how far they've come and how soon or how far these products have come. So that made me really positive regarding the future,
right?
And a possible vegan future.
So we were talking about the future, but your film Live and Let Live explores the history of veganism and why people go vegan. And actually, when I was researching for this show, I actually joined the Vegan Society because I didn't know much about them, but from you, I learned about how important they are in terms of this modern vegan communities. Can you talk a little bit about the history of veganism?
Sure. Well, it started all in the UK in the wartime. I think it was 1943. I'm not exact on the date, but it was basically a splinter group from the Vegetarian Society, and to them, to the group around Donald Watson, vegetarianism at the time wasn't going far enough because they wanted to eliminate milk and eggs and honey from the diet. So they were thinking about different words and how to, or kind of term to use, and they've had really, if you look into it, they've had really funny words thinking about that they wanted to use, but then they just took out the middle part from vegetarian and coined the term vegan, and that was a long time ago, and it was really difficult at the time because it was wartime, and I don't know how they managed to set up the Vegan Society at that time, but yeah, that was the birthplace of it, I guess.
Yeah. Yes, and it was purely ethical. It was not for health reasons, it was ethical reasons, and they started it, and I found the part of their mission statement, which is the principle of the emancipation of animals from exploitation by man. And then they changed it to seeking an end to the use of animals by man for food, commodities, work, hunting, vivisection, and by all other uses involving exploitation of animal life by man. So, that was really...
The timing is really interesting because I know that just after, right in the wartime and just after the war, that was the birth of factory farming as well as a stopgap to feed people. And then obviously, it was successful economically. And so then it was just in Europe and it came over here to the United States. And now we know what we have on our hands now. But so that's fascinating.
So the factory farming started in Europe?
Right in the wartime. So veganism and factory farming right around the same time.
That's an irony. But that first Vegan Society meeting apparently only had 6 people in it. So they were small but mighty. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I just remembered the word, one of the terms they had. One was beaux mangeurs. So it's French for
beautiful eaters.
Beautiful eaters, yeah.
Beautiful eaters. Oh, beaux mangeurs. That's great. Yeah. Well, we're vegans now. We're not beaux mangeurs, and thank God, because a lot of people wouldn't be able to pronounce it.
Hey, folks. Okay. Back by very popular demand is our plant-powered plate fridge magnet, which you are going to receive for free if you leave us a rating and a review on whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on. So here are the details. Just write your quick review. Does not need to be long. Does not need to be a whole story. Just be honest and speak from the heart. Then take a quick screenshot of the review you wrote and email it to us at podcast@switchforgood.org. That's podcast@switchforgood.org. And include your mailing address so we can send you a power plate. We are doing this because the more reviews we garner, the higher we go in search results, which means more folks will learn about our podcast. So the power is in your hands. Leave us a review and zoom, your power plate arrives at your doorstep.
So thank you so much for tuning in today. If we helped you in any way, then click the subscribe button and let's keep hanging out together. We have so much more to share with you.
And if you need more information on actually making the switch for good, please visit us at switchforgood.org for loads of info. And you can subscribe to our mailing list where you will receive all sorts of super cool gifts, discount codes to our very fave dairy-free products, and a lifetime of powerful health tips.
So join us on the journey to switch for good. This is the future.